So we're talking about flicking the switch. And for those of you who remember and who might have watched another episode of this podcast, you'd remember that the first step that you need to take is to retreat. Extract yourself from the present situation, take a step back, find a quiet place outside of the present moment and the present circumstances to just be on your own and take the time to reflect and acknowledge the situation, right? Acknowledge your state of mind and observe your train of thoughts, okay? So the question can arise, that's all good, right? But what if I'm stuck in a place, in my office or in my home or in the train, and I can't go anywhere? There's a lot of stories also along these lines for prisoners, whether that be political prisoners, prisoners of wars, or any prisoners really, right? I think Solzhenitsyn, for instance, or the famous story of Papillon, people who could spend days and months, years not seeing the sunshine, right? And being locked up in a place with other people around, and it's not easy to extract yourself from this place, right? So very often you're saying, I need a place, and a sort of safe place or a happy place, you would hear very often. That's quite a common exception for this concept these days, that you would hear from your therapist, counselors, your preacher, your priest, your rabbi, whatsoever, right? So find a happy place. Well, that's all good, but it's not that easy. Having said that, I'd like to address this question today. It's an important one, like all the questions we have about flicking the switch, and I have a special offer for you. Special offer you can't discard or dismiss lightly, right? I have an offer for you to buy real estate in a place that really matters. Important real estate for you, okay? We'll talk about where, and we'll talk about which currency this is all about, right? But we're going to talk about how to buy and create, and most importantly, cultivate this place where you are going to be able to flick the switch, right? And start with being in the right conditions to observe your thoughts and practice things which otherwise are quite difficult, right? Such as self-love, self-awareness, or just plain relaxation and breathing and meditation. This will be much easier for you to practice that if you have acquired and landscaped this particular place, right? That we're going to discuss how we could name it in a minute, right? But it's a place where you'll get the superpower to instantly be able to teleport yourself into, okay? Everything is going to be better in this in this place. Does it need to be happy? I don't know. Yeah, there's the word happy place, which is all good, right? But we're not always happy. Happiness can be altogether a very transient state, or if it's continuous, it's more of a quiet happiness. But yeah, sometimes we have moments when we are not happy. We're simply thoughtful. We can be sad even, right? So it's not necessarily happy and all that, right? Does it need to be pretty? Does it need to be a sort of exotic, wonderful, lush, paradise location that you would call a garden, a Garden of Eden? Well, not necessarily, right? It's not really about that, because this place you're not going to build in your head as a place with pictures based on pictures and props, right? It's really not about that. That's not really the kind of equipment, features, furnitures, and currency you can use to build this place and to landscape it and to make it comfortable. So I'd like to come to the important traits that we would have for this kind of place, which would be, the first thing that I would like to mention is that it needs to be a place of calm, right? because you want to extract yourself from the noise, from the rush, from the heat of the moment. So you're looking for somewhere calm, peaceful, safe, that you're not going to be disturbed, right? So there is somehow, access is controlled, right? So that would be one of the first qualities of such places. And then you would be probably making sure that you feel comfortable in this place, right? So you wouldn't imagine a place where, you're sitting on, you can sit only on a hard rock, or which is, which is really cold, unless you imagine in your head that you like a white paradise of cold, like an Arctic scenery. But no, it needs to be in your head comfortable, and comfort is a very subjective, can be a very subjective idea and feeling and conception, right? But so there, comfortable, where you can take your guard down, right? So safe, comfortable, quiet, calm. That's important. And finally, and maybe most importantly, it's a place where you can be sure that you can sit close to yourself. And I'll put a bit of a disclaimer here. Again, it's important because these video blogs are short, and it's easy to get lost in translations and for people to get the wrong idea, right? So I'd like to make sure that you don't understand that I'm inviting you to become a loon, right? And to start having a sort of mental fortress or citadel where you're going to retreat and lock yourself up and have a sort of dissociative disorder out of that and become antisocial. Not at all, right? That's not at all my point. But still, it's in this place that again we are yet to name. You're going to be able to have quality time with yourself. I like to say that actually it's a place where you can make appointments with yourself. Really, like appointments. And in the word appointments, there's a notion that sometimes it's scheduled. And it can even be periodical, regular, right? So we'll come back to that. It doesn't have necessarily to be a sort of once-off or ad hoc place to go, but it can be part of a routine that you really include in your daily life. Okay, so calm place, peaceful, comfortable, quiet, safe, where you feel comfortable and you can take quality time with yourself and take your guard down. How does that sound? Okay, doesn't have to be joyful or happy, because you might not be in this mood. Doesn't have to be beautiful and lush and paradisiac. No, not at all. It just need to be this kind of place. Right? So in this place, so you want to have enjoyable moments. As I said, you want to retreat there. So I'm trying to find words that you would know, right? So I spoke about a happy place. Some people would mention sometimes, this is a safe haven, right? Where you can go, but that would be more for real places in the community where you would go and extract yourself from the real physical world to meet people, non-judgmental and blameless environments. Some people would call it my joy garden or my personal garden. I like the idea of a garden, but again, it doesn't have to be green. Although I chose a green scenery today to record this video, because if that's your thing, that could be a place like that, like green fields, flowers, trees. A lot of people find comfort in nature, but some others also are daunted by big spaces like that, right? And they would prefer something more in an enclosure, right? But anyway, so not necessarily a garden. I like the concept that you would hear from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes, to solve his mystery, these crazy mysteries and complex problems, retreats in his mental palace. That's quite cool, actually, the concept of a mental palace. Mental, it's certainly mental. The place I'm talking about that you want to buy some space into with the currency I'm going to talk about. Is it a palace? Yeah, maybe it's your palace, right? Everybody is king in their own castle, right? So why not? It could be a suitable one. Still in the world of television and TV shows, some of you might know and remember also the Doctor Who, and his incredible TARDIS, right, which from the outside looks like a phone booth, like the blue phone booth. So looks incredibly small and tiny, but as soon as you get in, you open the door and you get inside, it's vast and it's cozy and it's very private, right? It's Doctor Who's sort of cockpit and time space ship. So that's quite a cool idea, actually, the TARDIS. And I think in the same vein, in Russian mythology, there was this witch called Baba Yaga, which is known also to travel in a small wooden shack across the forest, mounted on chicken legs, right? So try to imagine Baba Yaga going in this forest on chicken legs. And this cabin, deceivingly small from the outside, is actually inside. Actually, it's a maze of several rooms, and it's a labyrinth, right? So again, I don't want to invite you to lose yourself in your own mental labyrinth, right? Don't get me wrong. So this is all good. To compromise on all that, I would say that it's probably a retreating place, and it's a sort of, but it's not for the occasional retreat, right? It's a place where you can come over and over again. So that's why today I ended up using the expression the retreat abode, right? And abode is a place where you can dwell, and it's quiet, and it's withdrawn, and it's safe, and it's a place dedicated to retreat, right? So a retreat abode, or just a retreat. It's up to you. Doesn't matter. Some philosophies and religions will call that the temple, the soul temple, or the sanctum. Right. Find your word, but that's this place that I'm talking about. That's this very particular place. So how do you find it, and how do you buy it, and how do you secure it, so that, as I said, anytime you need to make an appointment with yourself, or you need to flick the switch and change settings in your life, that you can go and teleport yourself. How do you build it? So as I said, it's not material, and it's not material to the point that it's not something that necessarily you can picture. You can use 3D computer graphics to design. I mean, I guess you could, right? But what would be the point? Or we are not in the world of social media here, right? Where it's all about appearances, and you're going to show off which magnificent mental palace or retreat abode you are building. It's not about that at all, right? Nobody is going to be there with you to look at it. Okay, so forget about that. So if it's not about that, what is it? What is it about? Well, it's about something, a currency which is actually incredibly valuable. And there's no stock exchange or foreign exchange for you to procure any, right? The only way you can procure it is by yourself. And it's called quality time. But it's called quality time, again, with yourself. We have, hopefully, in our lives, a lot of quality time with other people, at work, at home. And this makes up memories or memorable moments and experiences that we can always summon and remember, but they're always intertwined, and it's a crossover of experiences with other people. For this particular place we're talking about, your mental palace or your retreat abode, we're talking about a place where you'll be absolutely yourself, absolutely naked, virtually, and your soul will be bare. You'll be your absolute self in this environment. You can talk to yourself. Again, don't be alone. Don't start talking in the streets or in the gardens, public gardens, that I'm doing now, seemingly. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? You will be talking to yourself and have frank conversations and self-reflections, or just meditation. You'll be vulnerable with yourself. You'll be able to be kind with yourself, as we've been talking about previously. So what I'm talking about is quality time that you are creating, and real quality time with yourself. Right? And that's these moments, or pieces and bits and bobs of these moments, that are progressively be the bricks or the stones, white stones, hopefully, that you will put in this garden. in the garden of this retreat. Okay, and for you to start creating and collecting these stones and these precious bits and bob coins, so to speak, well, you'll have to create space, or more exactly time, in your life. And there's several ways to do that, right? But probably the easiest one, by far, in everyone's life, is to plug that into some existing daily routines, right? I'll give you some examples. There's always moments, or hopefully there are moments, if you're not a prisoner in some, ex-former Soviet Union jail, there will be moments where you can be on your own, and that can be walking to work or to school. That can be being in the shower. That can be, if you're a night worker, getting up at night and leaving your partner in the bed and starting your day on your own and having breakfast on your own, or a trip, car, motorbike, bicycle trip on your own. I'm not going to go as far as saying that that could be when you go to the toilets, but ultimately it could be this moment where you're just on your own, right? Or a moment where you're going to do some sports routine or physical activity routine. That could be jogging, running, swimming at the local pool. So these moments are there already when you're on your own. Plug in it some quality time for yourself, right? Or hopefully it's already quality time because you're doing something for yourself normally, or something you have to do. But plug in it some joy in being on your own, and some opportunity to take your thoughts and mental activities into a different journey. Okay, so that's plenty of opportunities across the day, across the week, across the month, right? And you'll be surprised, especially if you start finding some thread that you can leave and pick up every time you are on these lonely moments. Could be reading. And reading, of course, reading, normally you're devoted, or it could be playing an instrument, a musical instrument, but it could be these moments where you can take your thoughts and your mental process onto a particular course which is different, right? So that's one example, easy, of creating quality time for yourself. Then, of course, there are things which are probably more. And I hope it's still recording. Yeah, it's still saying stop. That's okay. My battery is about to die. That's fine. Then you can take on, more occasional moments, and that could be a trip. That could be a trip that you take on your own. So you could be driving the car to a long destination, or you could be flying overseas. And that's also, some people could just go through that mindlessly, and in my eyes, it would be such a waste, such a missed opportunity not to make that a purposeful occasion to sit down with yourself and start a chat with yourself, right? And be on something on a different mental mode, right? So typically long trips are a perfect and excellent occasion to create memorable moments and quality time with yourself. Just forget about the noise around, the commuting, the announcements, and all the buzz of other people traveling with you. Doesn't matter. Yeah, you put headsets, you put music, you do whatever you want. You can start journaling. Journaling is, of course, one of the practices that is going to be excellent to create great quality time for yourself, right? So, and that could be part of your daily routine, by the way. Journaling is another really good daily routine that's contributing to this quality time. And then, there could be this once-off personal challenge that you take on to. I remember, for instance, myself, when I was in my mid-30s, deciding, whilst my family was away overseas in Ukraine, traveling to see the family, and I was the one staying behind and yet another week before joining them. I had this holiday time, right? I was on holidays and on my own, right? And of course, it could have been just a debilitating period of time where I could have sit in front of the TV, the couch, playing video games, drinking beer, or indulging in junk food and all that. Why not? But whatever I would have done, I could just have been, mindless and idle. But instead, back then I remember I said, okay, that's a perfect opportunity for me to go and walk this great central walk in Corsica, or part of it I did. Just a bit of it, right? And that was a personal challenge, and I had to organize, of course, myself. There was a bit of logistics for that, but then here I was in Vidsavona one day, hopping off the train, putting my backpack on my back, and starting the walk. And on my own, on a mountain track I had never been before, right? Some people do similar experiences, such as the Camino, right, that goes to Santiago in Spain. This is this kind of experience. So that's my example. And that was incredible quality time. Besides the scenery, besides the exercise, the fresh air, besides the satisfaction of doing it and a personal goal, but I had all this time to think and talk to myself about so many topics. And I can guarantee that today, my own inner sanctum, or my own mental palace, or retreat abode, has bits and pieces from this Corsican landscape, and the wild horses I saw there, and the little fresh springs that popped under the oak trees and chestnut trees in the forest as I was walking down Corte, and my feet were absolutely covered in blisters. But yeah, that's not my happy place, this area where I was, but bits, moments, complex quality moments are now pieces of the puzzle that is making my own inner sanctum, right? And when I teleport myself in this place to have a moment and to make an appointment with myself, there's certainly bits of natures and the remembrance of the pain, the resilience I needed to have, the food I had, and all that, and all this mix has helped me build this place, and I keep building it. And that's probably the conclusion I want to come to here, right, in this post, is that once you've acquired this real estate property in your brain, or in your mind, more exactly, once you have put the first props and fenced the perimeter and created the general atmosphere and all that, well, then the journey just begins. You need to keep cultivating this place so that it remains friendly and welcoming and meaningful, and it serves its purpose, which is to be always this welcoming harbor, this safe haven that you will go to find solace and be yourself, right? So cultivate your retreat abode. This is so important. This is probably the biggest asset by far we can have, in my eyes, in this life. As in asset, I'm not talking about relationships and with others, right? I'm excluding this important part of our life here, but this is this place where I can acknowledge and recognize myself and look at my own self in the eyes, blamelessly, in a non-judgmental manner, just taking my guard down and processing what's going on in my life, right? So I'll probably stop it here, but the reflection, if you want, can continue, right? This is part of a blog post and you can read on, right? I'm trying to expand on these concepts and these ideas, which in my eyes are so essential, right? And that's why I'm starting with that in this in this podcast, right? With all these considerations, because we'll come back and back again and again to them on several occasions, right? So for now, I will let you go from this beautiful park in Geneva, where I've taken my lunch break. It's a wonderful day. I love this light. Maybe I'll take a piece of these little daisies, to my own happy place or mental palace. They smell really good. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. If you didn't, if it's obscure, I'm really sorry. I'll try again. I'll take different angles. You know, we're prisoners of language and subjectivity, so I'll try again, don't worry. But if you liked it, please give me a thumb up. That would be lovely. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to recommend it to other people, right? That would be also, I hope, helpful to spread the good word. I'll stop there, and I'll wish you to be you and to be well. Take care.